Alrighty guys, welcome back to another LEGO set review from BrickByBrick, and today we've got the Minifigure Factory, which is a gift with purchase from LEGO stores and shop at home with purchases of $75 or more. At least in the United States, it's from April 1st to April 13th. No, 15th, I think. 15th or 13th, one of the two. And $75 or more, you get this for free, so you don't pay anything for it. They add it to your order. You get, whatever you pay for, plus this. And the threshold works even if, you're spending $80 and use $40 in VIP points, you'd spend $40 and still get this for free. So, I think that is a pretty, good value. I did want to open it on camera because you'll notice it's, kind of a different style of box. You have the little sleeve that goes around it. But this is what the real box looks like. It looks like the outside of a Minifigure Factory. In Billund, Denmark, they actually have these, yellow minifigures on doors around the factories. So that's a realistic detail. 1978, that's the year the minifigure was created and I think patented in Europe, but it was patented the following year in the United States. And, the sides continue the same, little steel pattern. I like that. And on the back, you've got two windows to view inside, as well as an actual little cutout, which is interesting. And you got the two big minifigures, as well as this side, which is pretty much, the same as the other side, just the opposite side has the minifigure. And to open this up, also at the bottom has nothing. But to open this up, you just pull this down, and you got your instruction booklet, which at the end has this timeline of a bunch of notable minifigures. That's wrong. It doesn't belong in 2002. But everything else is accurate. And, it's a nice little thing to have, especially for, more modern LEGO fans who don't know all of this stuff. So, that's nice. And it's a nice little instruction booklet. You get this little cardboard piece, which has the same pattern on the back as the rest of the box. And we'll see what that's for in a little while. But you've also got this bag of parts, which allows you to build up the actual builds of the set. Just a quick look at all of this before we, kind of actually, put all the buildable elements in there. You'll notice it's got these tubes on the back, which I believe they're the same size as a regular tube. There's the cutout, and you also have this long slot. And there's a 40 years cake, some presents on the wall. And on the other side, we have a look at a minifigure patent. And I do appreciate that they did even print up onto the ceiling. Not like anything significant, but at least there's printing there, and the tubes do carry over. And there's also a pallet on the ground, as well as some, little caution striping. I think that, this alone is a well-done piece. This is glued onto the base, this plate, so it's not easily reusable. You'd have to, peel it off yourself. The actual build, once put together, is really neat, and it works really well with the cardboard background, and there's a big feature that we'll take a look at. You'll notice that from the back now, we do have this panel, which most of the time covers up most of one of these minifigures, unless you have it completely in the middle. Which this, I think, is probably the best look from the exterior, but most people aren't going to display it this way. I do wish that, oh, whoops, I have my little card there. Also, you'll notice that you can see either one of the two windows at a time. Usually. It's either that or zero. I do think that most people are going to display from the inside, because that's like the normal thing to do. There is a little cart which you can use to kind of put a minifigure in and push it around the factory floor. If you got to transport a minifigure, I don't know, to where it has to be distributed in sets, or maybe you're bringing them to the quality control line, which is what this is. I think that overall this works well, and you can kind of basically see the gist of it. There is a printed 1x2 tile right there, down on the ground, that's the same as these ones, a printed 1x4 tile, as well as a printed boost arrow right there in the back, which only appears in 2 sets, this being one of them. And this whole conveyor belt will move. Also, actually, I should mention, there's a paintbrush piece here. It is the green one, which is the more common. It's not the new blue one or anything, which I think the blue one would have made more sense because, you know, there's no green minifigure parts here. But maybe it painted the factory floors. But, you know, you'll notice that we have a classic police officer, and it actually, you know, shows you in the back, that's what the cardboard piece is for. It shows you the minifigure that, you know, is in front of it. There's also the spaceman, or Benny, the pirate, which you'll notice, we'll take a closer look at the microfigures, but you'll notice that this guy doesn't really have the same colors as, you know, the actual figure. We've got the nurse, and then we've got Pixel from Ninjago, who's a very weird choice. But you'll notice it's a little weird. The Pixel doesn't exactly line up. You can't see all of her, and you can kind of see some of the nurse's hands. I think that's kind of like an off-center print, because if you push this guy all the way, it kind of overlaps, you know, his hand to the side. So I think it's just that my particular copy of the set had this cut slightly, you know, too far to one side. And I'm assuming not all sets will have this same exact issue. And also you'll notice it can go up and down a little if you want to see the whole name, or if you want this to be flush with the ground, like the whole black bar. So, you know, there's a little bit of wiggle room, which happens when you're working with cardboard, but I think that for the most part this is done really well. And actually, you know, you've got a start and go button there, as well as this would probably hold the plastic granules, and this tiled surface, you know, just basically covers the whole thing, and there's a printed tile right there. So that is pretty much all there is to, you know, the actual build, and I think that it works really well, and I really like it quite a bit. But let's take a look at the figures. The only minifigure included is this Lego store, I say Lego store because that's what the torso was originally used for. It's actually a Lego factory employee. He has the working magnifying glass that you can see there, and that, you know, magnifies things. You can use those to see the figures up close, which is kind of important because they are very, very small and very, very intricate detailing. His torso print is nice. I like it quite a bit. Legs are plain, but, you know, torso's good, and his face print is good. It appears in about 7 sets, I think, so relatively uncommon. And the back print on his torso just has the Lego logo, which is nice. The only thing that I can see people complaining about is that the torso is yellow, so it just kind of looks like, you know, it blends in with his hands. Maybe he should have had gloves, and I think that would have helped just a little bit more, you know, differentiating that it's a shirt. But, you know, I mean, most people will be able to tell it's just, you know, it'll kind of throw your eyes off, especially if you're looking like from the side. But yeah, I think that it's a pretty well done figure, and I appreciate the torso with the Lego logo on there. And the magnifying glass is nothing special, but I think it's a nice inclusion, especially with the nature of some of the details in this set. So the 2 most recent of the, you know, minifigures included in the set are Pixel and the Series 1 Nurse collectible minifigure, representing the Ninjago and collectible minifigures themes. And I think that collectible minifigures is definitely super appropriate. Ninjago's kind of a weird choice. I guess it's that big. Like, it is probably their biggest, you know, action theme. Maybe it would have been better to include, like, Darth Vader or a Star Wars minifigure, but obviously that would have required licensing. So I guess Ninjago's probably one of their more iconic themes through time, I guess, which kind of makes sense, kind of doesn't. Obviously, Creator and Technic don't include minifigures, so, you know, those aren't in the running. But, you know, I guess Ninjago is a big thing, which is cool. The printing on these guys is really, really intricate. You'll notice there is kind of a little bit of a misprint on Pixel's face there, at least my version, where the mouth doesn't fully go across. There's a little bit of white that gets in front of it, but you know, this is a super duper small scale. It's not noticeable from any reasonable distance at all. So, you know, I don't think it's unforgivable. Pixel's actually really interestingly done because the purple isn't her base color, white is. So, it prints on the back of the legs and head parts just so that it works and, makes a solid color. You'll notice a little bit of missed area like underneath the head and between the head and torso area on this, as with the nurse and, any other figure that has a different colored head than, body piece. But it, covers most of it really well, and I think that these figures are definitely instantly recognizable, especially Pixel. From any sort of distance, maybe you need to zoom in a little just on the nurse in order to figure out exactly what she is, because there could be any number of figures with, brown hair and a white body. But Pixel, is very recognizable. And then we have the Pirates figure, which represents the introduction of non-standard generic faces, which I think is, probably one of the most important landmarks in minifigure design. I'm kind of surprised they didn't, move on to figures with, dual molded arms or legs. I'm assuming that's because of the limitations of the design of the trophy figure. It would have been really, kind of a lot harder to print. So that's probably the main reason there. But I think this figure is good. It's just a shame that there is no figure that lines up exactly like this. And they kind of took the cheap boy out. They didn't print the pants like they did on Pixel, which is the only thing that would have made this guy more accurate. The bandana is represented alright. The white should probably go further back, but again, that's a limitation of the micro figure. And there is no printing on the back of either one of these guys. But Benny, he's not really Benny. He's actually just a classic spaceman. But he looks fantastic. It's really a major shame that the Classic Space logo is on the opposite side of the torso from what it should be. But the helmet works really well as just, printing the face the way they did. I think that that's great, and really love this guy. He's going to be super useful as, just a minifigure version of a minifigure. And, if I had to place a bet, I'd say because of Benny, this figure is definitely the most recognizable classic Lego figure at this point in time, at least. Unless, maybe they introduce a classic policeman in the Lego Movie 2. Don't see that happening. And last up, we get the classic policeman minifigure, who is the first minifigure, and he is, definitely one of the most recognizable. I've included the Series 18 classic policeman figure, for scale here, and for comparison's sake. You'll notice the printing on the torso of this micro version is spot on. Absolutely everything about it is perfect. The face is printed on there nicely, and they did a great job printing the yellow all the way around. It actually comes out as pretty much the same as standard skin tone, which is more than you can say for Lady Iron Dragon. But, his head from the top is printed white to resemble the police cap. I think that everything about this little classic policeman statue figure is just super well done. And I don't think they could have done this guy any better. Benny's probably my favorite. I keep calling him Benny, but Classic Spaceman is probably my favorite. Just because I like the Classic Space theme better than Classic Town, but this figure is probably the best done of the 5. Obviously, Pixel has more detail, but I think she's a less recognizable character, and I'm a Ninjago fan, so, that's kind of saying a lot. Overall, I think this set is absolutely fantastic, and a fantastic, 40 years of minifigure promo. Creating minifigures in minifigure scale is brilliant. I think that all of these little statue figures are really well done, and I think that they're going to remain very collectible, which, they deserve it, because they're well done. I'd like to see, actually more figures redone like that, because that would be awesome. But I do see the complaint a lot that, most of what you're getting here is a cardboard backdrop, but honestly, it's a free set. If you were just getting the bricks here without the cardboard, you'd still be paying the same amount. So if you don't like the cardboard, just get rid of it. I mean, it's that simple. I personally like what the cardboard backdrop adds to the set, including this, cool feature that wouldn't really be possible without it. So, I mean, I'm a fan. I have zero complaints about the set. Would definitely recommend it if it's still available, which I think it is at the time of this upload. Unless I upload this later down the road, I would definitely recommend picking this one up before it goes out, because this is going to be a little bit of a pricey one on the aftermarket. I can only assume, just based on how much cool stuff is here. I don't think it's going to be as popular as the 60 Years of the Brick one, but, this 40 Years of the Minifigure set is a really, solid set. So, hope you guys enjoyed this set review. If you did, let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think of this set as well, and I'll see you guys all next time. Bye, everyone.